Welcome back to our series on how you can learn any language. We're going to dive into the second point, which is choosing the right instructor. And I'm going to give you 4 different points to help you do just that. Hi, my name is Rachele DeMeo from Belle Terre Academy. So when you're trying to find the right instructor to teach you French, whatever language that you want to learn, there are some things that you should consider. With both teaching French for 16 years and also hiring French teachers, I've noticed things that really work when you're trying to find the right instructor. While you might think that the years of education and the years of experience might be the sole or very important factors, I kind of beg to differ. I believe that these 4 points are going to help you find the right instructor to teach you the language that you're trying to learn. The first thing that I look for when I'm hiring another instructor to learn a language is, are they passionate about the language, but also about the culture? They need to show that they love the language, that they are passionate about teaching the language, but also the culture that embeds into language learning. So that's the first thing you should look at, is what passion does that person have in teaching the language and teaching the culture? How are they showing that passion? Through energy, through how they talk about it? You need to identify that. The second thing is, do they know how to explain things well? With teaching, what's really important is for them to be able to identify the questions you may have and provide you with answers that truly make sense to you and help enlighten anything that seems a little bit blurry in your mind. So what you want to look for is, how are they going to explain something? It may be a grammatical concept that you have a hard time understanding. Then they know how to explain it. So you could ask a few questions, or maybe even have a little knowledge of, hey, how do they respond to this question I have? Did they answer the question? Did they dodge the question? Or do I just need to reformulate it? And did they explain something that was maybe something that was hard to understand that they now can explain well, and now you're settled in answering that question? The third thing that I very much highly recommend is to have a native instructor. Somebody that was born, raised, definitely lived in the country, or a country that speaks that language. Why? Because first of all, for anything to do with pronunciation, they're going to know how to pronounce that. Second thing is also, they're going to have the proper accent and be able to teach you the right accent. So the intonation, the pronunciation, all that will come into play if you have a native instructor. The culture will be easily taught because they've lived the culture in that country, and now they're explaining what that culture is. If the instructor isn't native, maybe they grew up speaking several languages. Maybe they grew up living in different places, but you want to make sure that they definitely speak the language right? Definitely. But they also really know the language. And while it might seem obvious, I would ask questions and possibly try to find a native person, a friend that doesn't necessarily teach, that can help guide you when you're possibly considering an instructor. Ask that native person that may be a friend of yours, say, hey, is this person actually native? Do they have the right accent? Do they speak the language well? So that you don't get fooled if you don't know the language. To give you a little example of that, I had met a lady that was supposedly Russian, or at least half Russian, supposedly spoke the language fluently, had no accent, whatever. She could have fooled me because I don't speak Russian, so I could have started possibly taking classes with her and not known that she made many mistakes. And the reason that I ended up finding that out is through a native Russian that spoke the language fluently, that was from Russia, that really knew the language, a friend who said, hey, you know what, this person says that they are native and that they speak Russian, but I can tell you that that's not the case. So what I recommend is being able to identify if that person's a native. Ask questions about their life journey, or if they've lived possibly like in the States for a while, are they rusty on their language? Do they actually keep up with it? Do they actually preach what they're going to teach you? Are they living it for themselves? So that's what I'd recommend. And then the last thing that really goes hand in hand is this instructor providing you with extra? Are they giving you resources to keep you plugged in the language daily? Are they connecting what you already do, your hobbies and so forth, to the language? Are they helping you submerge yourself with that language so that you're truly fluent? Are they doing all those extra things outside of just teaching you so that you're really not only learning the language, but you're using the language, practicing it, and very important, you're maintaining it so that you never lose it? So those are questions that I recommend that you consider when you're trying to find an instructor to teach you the language that you're trying to learn, master, be fluent in, maintain.